Thomas Hardy was born June 2nd, 1840, at Higher Bockhampton, a hamlet in the parish of Stimsford, Dorset. His father was a stonemason and local builder. His mother was ambitious and well-read, supplementing his formal education, which ended at the age of 16 when he became apprenticed to John Hicks, a local architect. Hardy trained as an architect in Dorchester before moving to London. In 1862, he found a position as a draftsman in the office of Arthur Bloomfield, a leading architect for Gothic buildings. He won prizes from the Royal Institute of British Architects and Architectural Association. While he was completing his education informally through eclectic reading, he began to study and write poetry. Eventually, his writings provided him with sufficient income to leave the architecture business. Thomas Hardy was a novelist, short story writer, and a poet of the naturalistic school, who delineated characters struggling against their passions and circumstances. The majority of his work, set mainly in semi-imaginary county of Wessex, is marked by Hardy's largely pessimistic views on humanity. On the contrary, though, Hardy believed that he was a meliorist, that is, one who believes that the world could be made a better place with human effort. Like Herman Melville, he began his career as a modestly popular writer of novels. He saw men as doomed to tragic fate from which there was no real possibility of escape, views arguably influenced by his own reception as a writer. Hardy was notoriously underappreciated during his life. In 1874, Hardy married Emma Lavinia Gifford, the subject of his later work, A Pair of Blue Eyes. Although Hardy became estranged from his wife, her death in 1912 had a dramatic effect on him. He made a trip to Cornwall to revisit places linked with her and with their courtship, and wrote several series of poems exploring his grief. Poems of 1912 through 13, which are now estimated to be some of his finest verses of the early 20th century. In 1914, he married Florence Dugdale, 40 years his junior, whom he had met in 1905. Hardy was agnostic, and some would claim him to be an atheist. Despite these beliefs, Hardy had a strong emotional attachment to the Christian liturgy and church rituals, particularly manifested in rural communities. These had been formative influences in his early years, and as a young man, Hardy had long nurtured a desire to become a member of the clergy. Some attributed the bleak outlook of many of his novels as a reflection of his later loss of faith. But as he grew older and became more and more daring, his readership and the critics quickly turned against him, leaving him bitter and destitute towards the end of his life. Hardy fell ill with pleurisy, and in December 1927 died in January 1928, having dictated his final poem to his wife on his deathbed.